Sunday. It's Sunday.
That's what it is.
That's the way we eat on Sunday now, you know. Look at the winds here. Look at this is Georgia's Rome. Look at those winds, flagging those flags around. The good news here is that it has been all rain so far over in the Georgia Rome area, so you don't see that white coating the sidewalks and the streets like we've seen in other shots. So over to the west, we just have the rain. You can see the raindrops just hitting the lens every now and again, where it's raining on the light side, at least for so far this morning. Still checking out what's taking place a little bit further over into our area, right? This is Midtown, just outside our studios there. This I-85 here, and you can see where now some of those raindrops on the lens are starting to freeze up. Pretty soon we will not be able to see this shot anymore. So I've been showing you this a lot because of the elevated surfaces, not only the camera itself, but also these roads are elevated. Air goes under that, and so they begin to freeze. But cars so far, at least, have been getting along pretty fine. They're also kicking up some of that water that you can see that's on the roads there. And we're starting to see a few more cars starting to venture out, either coming through the city, going somewhere else, or just being brave enough to get out there and go where they have to go this morning. But again, you can see where it's starting to turn a little bit frozen with some of those drops on the lens there. The precipitation, steady precipitation that has been out there is starting to come to an end now. And I told you by about 6:45, we'll probably just see some scattered precipitation around. Starting to see that come to fruition now. Mainly up here toward the north and east, though, it will continue to be steady, probably for the next hour and a half to 2 hours. Places like Athens, further into northern parts of Hall County, Gainesville, these areas here, with some sleet mixing in, will start to come to an end probably closer to the 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock hour. Over toward the west, where I just showed you Georgia's Rome, that's where we have that steady rain that has been coming down. You notice that pink area trying to make it into Floyd County just has not been able to make it in there yet. We'll see if those temperatures begin to fall, especially after the rain stops. We'll see if that will allow some of that colder air to start to seep a little bit further back over toward the west. The rain should be on the light side really for the rest of the morning until we get that front that's going to push into the area, and we'll get some heavy rain then. Now, the question by then, and I think that won't happen until we get closer to noon, the question by then will be, does this wedge hold on? Right? Does this cold air, this pool of cold air, continue to be in place as that heavy rain begins to push in? What we think is that that area of low pressure will start to slide north, which will pull a lot of that warm air upward and try to erode much of the wedge that's in place. That's what we'll be watching for, especially as we get closer to the noon hour today. Also, we'll be watching to see if there's any severe weather along that line that will come to our southernmost counties. Places like Troup, Meriwether County will stay above the freezing mark, which is why we've seen the rain down there so far. I don't think that wedge extends any further down to the south. In fact, again, as that front gets a little bit closer to us, it should start to erode for places like Henry County into South Fulton County, even into North Fulton County as well. And then once you get north of that, expecting that to stay in place. And with that heavier rain that's pushing in with the wedge in place, you're talking about heavier amounts of sleet and freezing rain. What Doug showed us a little bit earlier was very interesting, all right? So we've been seeing some of this sleet begin to mix in with a lot of that freezing rain. And so what that has done is formed a layer of ice on the roadways and on the sidewalks. On the sidewalks in particular, where it's just a layer of ice, you could see that sleet has been accumulating, right? And you got the freezing rain mixed in with that, so it's just creating that straight layer of ice that's over us right now. Directors, if you're listening, we can hear the live shots in our ears. We're looking at up here to the far north, where you would expect it to be frozen precipitation, places like Higdon and Ellijay, where it has been rain so far. The temperatures up here have been a little bit warmer as well. Back toward Murray County as well, into Dalton, mixing taking place. The further west you go, up toward Dade, Walker County, it becomes all freezing rain there. So very interesting with that as well. But again, on a lot of the surfaces over here toward the east, when we talk about Commerce and down toward Athens, I showed you that live shot as well, where we've been seeing that sleet begin to accumulate on the sidewalks, where we had the awning, we had straight sidewalk, but then just out beyond the awning, that's where we started to see some of that accumulating sleet and freezing rain. Lawrenceville down toward Redan, again, these areas have been all freezing rain so far. Most of the live shots I looked at in Atlanta, it looks like, all that water kicking up on the roadways there. So being reported as much as about 1/10 of an inch so far that has been accumulating mainly on the railings, on the higher elevations, elevated surfaces, about 1/10 of an inch so far, but we still have more to go. And so that could very well climb into the 1/4 of an inch category there, or as far as heights go. Again, that rain back off to the west of us. We'll be looking at that as we head through the rest of the day. Also, the cold front, as it gets a little bit closer. I've been mentioning how this heavy rain will start to pull into our forecast area. That front still back off to the west of us, as you can see. That area of low pressure down to the south, but that will begin to push to the north. So it's this line right here that as we get into the daytime heating, we're expecting that to begin to intensify somewhat, and we'll bring some thunderstorms in. I do think they'll stay mainly to the south. We have seen some thunderstorms over into parts of Montgomery, Alabama already. A lot of that, as it began to push to the north, began to weaken somewhat and then move into this colder layer of air and begin to change over to freezing rain. Again, mixing with in southern Fulton County and then down into Coweta County, a little bit mixing in your far northwestern part of the county there. But then you get over into Fayette County, Clayton County as well. That's where we've been seeing that freezing rain. So that has been about the southern extent of it. Some into Spalding County and over toward Butts County. That's about it. And then into Jasper and Putnam County as well. Jasper, by the way, has been reporting some power outages and also some trees down already from some of that ice laying on top of those trees, causing those to kind of bend over, and then some of those begin to fall as well. If you have weak trees in your backyard, in your front yard, those are susceptible to the ice forming on them, and then the winds that will begin to kick up that will cause those to begin to topple over. So that's something that we'll have to be on the lookout for. Temperature-wise, again, we got the 20s up here to Gainesville and over toward Athens. 32 degrees right now in Atlanta. We've been holding steady right there. We'll watch those temperatures climb close to 40 degrees for this afternoon here in the metro area. Down to the south, could be in the 50s. I think we'll stay in the 30s, or at least close to the freezing mark up to the far northeast.